Go.
In the second part of the problem, let's read on. When the particle has traveled 3 meter, okay, when the particle has traveled 3 meter down the slope, as you can see, I've indicated the 3 meter on my picture here. Okay, when it has traveled 3 meter down the slope from a starting point, it reaches rough horizontal ground. So it reaches rough horizontal ground. So let me write this here. This is rough. Okay. At the bottom of the slope. Okay, so you can see that from my picture. Okay, it reaches rough horizontal ground at the bottom of the slope. Now the frictional force acting on the particle is 1 Newton. So at this part of the motion, the frictional force is 1 Newton. So if you like, let me just make a remark here. My frictional force is 1 Newton. Good. Find the distance that the particle travels along the ground before it comes to rest. Okay, so here we ask to find the distance the particle travels before it comes to rest. So, what are the important things? One, this particle will reach the bottom of the slope, and when it reaches the bottom of the slope, you're going to have rough horizontal ground. So because we have an object that's going to travel on rough horizontal ground, and its friction is going to oppose its motion, and it's going to slowly come to a rest. That's basically the idea in physics. But let's work out what the question wants, the distance that the particle travels before it comes to rest. Okay, first off, at this point, at the bottom of the slope, I want to work out the speed. Okay, now I'm using the speed. If you like, you can use the word velocity, doesn't matter. Okay, now at the bottom of the slope, let's use v squared equals to u squared plus 2as. This is, let me make a note here, this is for the bottom of the slope. Okay, as it reaches the bottom of the slope. Okay, so we started with u equals to 0. We worked out the value of a in the earlier part. We had 5 meter per second squared. Then we worked out the earlier part. And the distance along the slope that the particles travel is 3 meter. So let's write s is 3 meter. Okay? So let's use the formula. V squared will be, u squared is gone. I have 2, a is 5. Okay? And s is 3. So I have 30. So v is the square root of 30. So at this point, okay, at this point, so let me indicate here, at this point, my v is the square root of 30 meter per second. So for this part of the travel, let me just indicate this, okay, for this part of the travel on horizontal ground, please remember that this becomes my initial speed. Again, for this part of the motion, okay, on horizontal ground, which is rough, remember this becomes my initial speed. Good. Now, let's look at the motion here. Okay, let me draw a picture for you. Okay, this is rough horizontal ground. So it's going this way. Okay, object is going this way, and therefore I have my frictional force going this way. Okay, and that is 1 Newton. Any other forces acting on this particle? No. Okay, the only force acting on this particle is the frictional force and its opposing motion. So let me use F equal to ma. Okay, F equals to ma. Frictional, the motion is this way, frictional force is this way, so I can write it as -1 equals, what is my mass? 0.5 and a. Therefore, my a will be -1 over 0.5 will be, okay? So, on rough horizontal ground, as you can imagine, because it's rough, there's a frictional force, so it's decelerating. So now my acceleration will be -2 meter per second squared. Okay? We're done. Let's work it out. Yeah. So now I have my u, which will be square root of 30. Remember I said now this becomes my initial speed. My final is 0 because it comes to rest. My acceleration is -2. So all I have to do is just plug in the numbers. Yeah. v squared equals to u squared plus 2as. What are we trying to find? We are trying to find the distance. So v squared, okay, remember the final, because it's come to rest, so my final speed is 0. My initial is square root of 30, so when you square it, it becomes 30 plus 2. What is a? Careful, it's negative 2. And I have my s. Okay? So let's work it out. I have, let me see, I have 4s equals to 30. So s will be 30 over 4. And that will be 15 over 2 meters. And we're done.